Welcome to Naked Faith, where we take off the masks, drop the performances, and get honest about what it really means to follow Jesus. I'm Ron, and these are my amazing co-hosts, Grace and Michelle. And together, we're creating a space for real conversations, real stories, and real encounters with a love that never gives up. No agendas, no religious hype. Just real people sharing how God met them in the messy middle and pointing to one truth. Jesus still transforms lives. So whether you're walking strong or hanging on by a thread, you're welcome here. This is Naked Faith. So let's get into it. Okay, so we started this Mary Magdalene series, but we had a series of guests, and we decided we were going to finish this before we start getting some more guests. So here we are. We're going to finish Mary Magdalene. And I think our last episode, we asked this question of what does it mean to see in the eye of the heart? And so I think that's really kind of what we're going to talk about today. Like, what is the eye of the heart and what does that mean? So I know we all, like the three of us, I shouldn't say all, the three of us did some research on what we think the eye of the heart is. And that's where we're going to go. So I'll leave it up to, I'll let you guys, what do you guys think? By the way, if anybody can see, we're using this book, the one by Cynthia Bourgeot. Can you raise it up?
Mm-hmm. The Meaning of Mary Magdalene.
The Meaning of Mary Magdalene. We might also reference our good friend Megan, but she doesn't really know us, but we,
we still think she's our friend.
We still think she's our friend, exactly. So anyway. All right, sorry, I'll stop talking because I know I talk a lot.
No, you're good. It's a podcast. We have to talk.
Yeah, but when I don't stop talking, nobody else gets to talk, so.
Well,
All right, eye of the heart.
All right.
Yeah.
Eye of the heart. Go for it, Grace.
Oh my God. I gotta find where it is in the book again.
This is real, y'all. We were really prepared.
Oh, right. We were.
I mean, we were prepared. It's just,
We're just not prepared.
Yeah. This is like real stuff. All right, I'll go.
Well,
go ahead. Did you find it? Or?
I was just gonna say, for one thing, like the specific passage that it pertains to, like Jesus had came to Mary in a vision, and kind of the main thing was for her to be completely it says to remain emotionally rock steady as she's seeing this vision of him, like completely calm, so that way she can communicate in that sense,
Yeah, because I was reading that, and it said that like she didn't question the vision. She like it was natural to her.
Right. And that makes you wonder.
This was all before the resurrection, right? Is that what I remember reading?
I think it was,
or before, like he was nailed to the cross.
It might have been, because it talks a little bit about it in the next chapter. Like, it might have actually been the period between him dying and the resurrection.
Okay.
So, but I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right, and I think there's a lot of question, like, where was Jesus during the 3 days?
Right.
Yeah.
And so the common thing that we're told, and I don't know how they know this because it's not written down, was that he went to visit Hades. And the theory behind that is because, in his ministry, he said, when the kingdom of heaven comes to earth, those who are dead will rise and walk again. And so the common theory is that when you died before Jesus came, your soul was stuck in, I don't know, like this purgatory. The Catholics believe that there's a purgatory and you have to pay a penance to get out of purgatory. So some believe that the people who had died before Jesus came were in this netherworld or something, something to that aspect. Like, I'm probably not using the right term, but you know what I mean? And then he freed them. He went to Hades to free them. And then they all went to heaven. But what I find interesting about this is that, because I'm going to bring some of the Gnostic stuff that I've been studying as well. Like, they don't believe that they're really when you think about the powers of the ego and the ascension of the powers of the ego that Megan Watterson talks about in her book, like it's a spiritual awakening, and you get to this point where like there's no, I guess when you die, your soul goes straight to the source and you reunite with the source. So I'm going to divert here for a second because like this is kind of tied together. But over the weekend, we were on a road trip, and my wife had turned on the Spirit of Kaizen, or it's called. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kaizen and like Six Sigma and all that stuff. Yes,
I don't
no.
think so. No.
Okay, so
No.
So Kaizen is a Japanese term used. It became popular back in after World War II. So there was this American. I don't know if he was a psychologist or what he actually did, but his name was Dr. Deming, and Dr. Deming invented this methodology of how to increase productivity. And so he tried to do it here in the United States, and nobody really bought it. But the Japanese asked him to come over and teach them what became Lean Six Sigma, but it was they coined it Kaizen, and it's a Japanese term, but I don't really know what Kaizen means. But the whole idea is that there was a Dalai Lama or somebody made a statement, and it said, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step."
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea behind the Kaizen is that there's, if you set a goal for your life, like let's say you want to, you wake up in 2026 and you said, this is the year I'm going to get healthy. And you're trying to define what that means, right? Like most people think big and they try to attack the problem from a big perspective. So I'm going to be, look like, name your favorite famous person that you think has a great body, right? Like I'm going to be like that. And then you go to the gym and what ends up happening is you fizzle out, right? In the spirit of Kaizen, it is, hey, I'm going to take one step. And then I'm going to train myself to take one step. And then eventually I'm going to take two steps. And then I'll take three steps. And then before you know it, you're climbing a whole flight of stairs. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole idea, is that you train your brain to think of whatever problem that you're trying to solve. You ask yourself questions to get down to the smallest denominator, and you attack the smallest denominator. So you train your brain to think differently. Instead of trying to look at the big picture, you have the big picture in mind, but you're using small steps to get to the big picture. Anyway, the guy was explaining that how the human brain works. And it was something that was very profound. And I know I was a long explanation to get to where I'm going, but I've arrived where I wanted to get to, but I wanted to set up the background. So he's talked about the brain and how the brain is formed, and how our brain has evolved over time to the way it is, right? And he describes each section of the brain. And the way he described it was really interesting to me, because he says the brain stem is similar to that of a reptile. And so if you think about a reptile, right there, the reptilian brain is the fight or flight. We've talked about this before, I think, right? And then he talks about the next section is we share the same brain as all the rest of the mammals. So like, monkeys and cows, like we have that thing. And then it's the cortex, and I'm probably totally messing this up, but the other part of the brain is where it becomes unique. And that's the part that they don't know a lot about, how it works, or, how our brain functions. And we're still learning every day, right? But the way he talked about this, it's like we're all connected. So when you think about, to me, what I got out of this was the eye of the heart is this organ of spiritual perception, and in the Gnostic tradition, we're all connected. Like think of the Matrix, but not like the Matrix from the movie, but we're all plugged into the Matrix, and we do have this collective consciousness. And if you spend time nurturing this, then you should be able to sense what other people are feeling, thinking, how they're reacting, like because you're part of this consciousness. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
I was just like, I feel like I can kind of sense other people's energies in general. I've
Hmm.
gotten to that point over the last couple of years of just like, I don't know, walking into a room and just kind of like getting the vibe, or or even being with someone one on one, and it's like they could be saying one thing, but then their energy might be experiencing something else, and just trying to like attune to that and be there for that person in whatever way. Just being present, I think, is a big part of it as well, you know, and that's something I feel like I've been trying to focus a lot more on. I tend to do that thing of like the bigger picture, and I can't always get down to like the smallest step, and so I do my best to focus a lot more on the present moment, because I don't it's like that quote from Goodwill Hunting. It's like all you can think about is like 10 steps down the road where everything goes wrong. I'm butchering the quote, but like I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. um
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know and just like being able to really just be in the present moment without having to think or worry about anything else, and let it take you where it's meant to go, kind of thing, and like that one step at a time.
Hmm.
The one thing that I kind of came across that kind of goes along with what you're saying is like who you are beneath like your armor, like but
Mm,
underneath the like all of your shame, regret, life experience, and everything. Who you are like to the core. So
Hmm.
yeah, who you are before the world told you who to be, you know
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Before you had all these
yeah,
outside influences to tell you what to think or how to
right,
feel, because I mean ultimately that's what
yeah,
the world, everything around us is doing, is telling us who we are supposed to be and how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to feel and what we're supposed to believe. And
mm-hmm, yeah.
Hmm.
But it's
Yeah, it's so
like being
true.
able to tap into the eye of the heart. It's like if you could do that, then you can focus more on your own energy and like what your inner soul is really like wanting to say or express, or how to live in general without being so influenced or affected by other people and other energies.
mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, do you find it hard? Like, okay, so I'm gonna repeat what I thought I heard you guys say. Like, you believe your eye of the heart is this inner sense of who you truly are, and you're influenced by the external factors. So whatever, right? Like the people tell you how to think and how to live and what's right and what's wrong. But do you find it hard to like to be your true self?
Yeah, honestly, I think for me, at least since the new year started, like I've made it more of a practice to at least just meditate once a day,
Hmm.
and that helps me focus on my own energy so that I can be more grounded and live in the world without being so affected by other people, because I feel like that's something I've really had to learn a lot too, and my whole life probably at this point, but just to really be in my own energy, be true to myself, and be able to communicate that with other people without um being so affected, I guess. you
Hmm.
know yeah.
So when you say energy, like, oh, were you going to say something, Michelle? Sorry.
You're good.
Okay. So when you say energy, like you're focusing on your energy, because I mean, a lot of this is about the energy. I mean, that's what
Mm,
she explains in the book is that
mm,
the eye of the heart is being able to sense the energy. And so when
mm.
you say that, like, what does that mean to you? And I'm asking
um
that to like better understand, not to like
right, like you mean my
whatever. I
own
don't know where I was
energy
going
or
with
like
that, but
other people's energy?
well, I think a little of both.
Okay.
Like you said,
um
you're trying to spend this year to get in tune with your energy, but you also said earlier, like when you walk
mhm.
into a room, you can sense the energy of the room. So I just like trying to figure out what do you mean by that? Like what's that experience like, or what's that?
um I don't know, like I'm thinking about when I walk into work, or you know, just walking into like a party or something, I can tend to feel so singular. Like maybe it's just because I suddenly feel everyone's eyes on me and I'm just, you know, alone or something. I don't know. I'm just talking, I don't rambling, but um like I think about how before I was really studying more of this and before I was meditating more regularly, and I would walk into work. And for those who might be listening that don't know, I currently work as a letter carrier for the post office. So it can definitely be a stressful job. It's a very, oh no, Ron's gone.
Oh no, where'd he go?
Oh, Ronald. He didn't want to hear. He didn't want to hear me talk. He's like, I'm not.
Nope.
He's like, I'm not talking for once. I don't want to hear it. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. But oh no, there he is.
Okay.
Maybe. Nope.
Oh no,
I
not.
knew it.
Just kidding.
I knew it.
I
I was
don't
like,
know what
maybe,
happened
and he was
kidding.
gone. There he is.
Well,
What happened? You know?
that was weird. I don't know. I'm sitting here and all of a sudden, like, all these tabs started opening on Google, and I was like, what the heck? And then I'm trying to close them all. And next thing you know, the whole thing shut down. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? So,
Did you get attacked with a virus or something?
no, I don't think so. I was just weird.
Yeah.
AI is coming to attack you.
Oh my god.
That's probably what it is. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, we're going to get you,
Yeah.
Terminator. So,
You're
all
talking
right. So
bad
you
about
were.
me.
I
So
don't
you were
ever
talking
talk
bad
bad.
about me.
I don't ever talk bad.
They're listening. They're
All right. So you were saying about your energy, and I totally like left the session.
Right. I was talking about like work in general with the post office. It can be stressful, and definitely just a very physical job, and that can just take a lot of energy in every way in general. So to now be able to walk into work a little bit more grounded, I feel like beforehand I was like, you know, keeping my head down, just doing the job and like getting it done and over with. But then I just didn't feel as connected with myself, or like my mind and body alignment was a bit off, and I just was just exhausted all the time. And now I feel like I have more tools to again be more grounded with myself, and be able to check in with myself more throughout the day, of like if I'm a bit more stressed or I feel a bit more tired, I can like pause to take a breath, just take some deep breaths and stuff like that. And it's just like it's I feel like it's about, again, not letting other people affect my energy so much. And of course it's a learning process. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. Just like being able to interact with people differently as well, and be more present, like I said. I don't know if there's anything else I can say about that, but did that clear anything else up for you, or did that just make things more confusing?
Well, I guess I have some more questions. Like, so you're equating your physical energy with is tied to your inner energy, right? Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's all connected. But I mean, I guess I haven't been specific enough with the eye of the heart in a sense, but because they said what is the organ of spiritual perception kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. I'm just like thinking more about work in general, and I've thought about that before, of like the spiritual aspect of my job, having to literally deliver messages between, you know, residents, families, what have you, or obviously from businesses and everything. There's definitely an energetic component to that as well. And it can definitely drain me. Like, I also recently started doing a practice of like, I'll say to myself when I get home, or even anytime in the day, but especially when I get home from work, of like, I call back my own energy from anywhere that exists, and it's called back into the center of my being, so that way I'm more attuned to myself. And I honestly, when I do that, I feel a bit more rejuvenated and less drained, when I'm able to focus back in on myself after a long day of work and dealing with all this mail. It's a lot of energy in a way because there's so many different messages, so many different people. It can be a lot.
Hmm. That's interesting. Because like she
Yeah.
talks about in the book the um oh my gosh, you just said something that triggered a thought. Well, she talks about centering prayer, right? So she
Mm.
mentions in here, like, so in her notes, she's like the eye of the heart perceives the vibrational spiritual world, and then she goes on and
Mm-hmm.
talks about the imaginal realm,
Mm.
and like the questions I asked was like, okay, how do you see this imaginal realm? And I
Mm.
probably should re-explain what that is, right? Like,
Yeah.
so according to the book, The Meaning of Mary Magdalene by Cynthia Bourgeau, there's this like source, and then there's this, but the source is so good that we can't perceive or comprehend what it is. But then the the realm, there's this imaginal realm, which is where the spiritual beings exist, and they take on a form that we can comprehend. And so when people have the eye of the heart, they can look into this imaginal realm, and they then see the angels and things like that. But then in the material world that we all live in, we when you're not looking through the eye of the heart, you can't see it. And so she talks about centering prayer. Like there's this method of centering prayer where I think it describes exactly what you were just talking about, Grace, where you
Mm.
take a moment to recenter yourself and you meditate on that. Like the way she describes how to do centering prayer is you basically you get to a point where you can do 20 minutes of silence,
Mm-hmm.
and you clear your mind, and you basically, she describes, like when we're thinking or being, we're up here in our head, but the heart is the seat of emotion, and so you have to push everything down to your heart, and from there you can sense the vibrational imaginal realm. But to get to the centering prayer, you have to empty your mind of thoughts. So like you don't think
Mm.
of anything. And then she talks about this sacred word. You create a sacred word that when
Mm.
your mind starts to drift, like thinking, oh, what are we going to talk about on this podcast? Or what am I got to clean the house. You can repeat that sacred word, and that's your code for like getting you back into that state of nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you say you come home from work and you recenter, is that kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, I'd say so. I feel like that just sounds like meditation in general too. The whole point of meditation is to be able to clear the mind, but there's also different kinds of meditations where you can like protect your own energy in a way, kind of like building that shield or even the body of armor that's mentioned in the Bible. Sorry, I was brushing up on the whole imaginal realm stuff because there was a quote that I feel like specifically can help describe it, in that it's described as that in between zone where spirits become embodied and bodies become spiritualized.
Yeah.
And that's interesting for a lot of reasons. I don't know. Because then they talk about it being like possibly being like an actual place, or when I think about it, I think of like, you know, again, like with meditating, sometimes images can come to mind, and it's like they describe it as the images are coming from that imaginal realm. Um, yeah. What?
So here's a crazy question. I
Okay.
know we keep going back to dreams, but do you think that when we see through the eye of the heart, that's like what we're seeing in our dreams?
I was thinking that, yeah, because I was about to say, like, it also seems like that's where dreams can come from.
Okay.
Because there are different kinds of dreams. Sometimes I feel like we mentioned this with other guests. Like sometimes it can just be like a subconscious energy blip of just like what was going on through your life that day or something, and that's just your brain like
Yeah.
processing whatever was happening. But sometimes there can be dreams that definitely feel like an external energy is like around. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And that's kind of what I was thinking, because after, like, I was thinking about to some of our previous guests and just kind of like some of the dreams that they have told us that they've had, like I just feel like maybe that's them seeing this whole other realm that we're talking about through the eye of the heart.
So I looked that up,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Okay. Did you?
Because I had the same question. I was like, oh, so if I could learn to lucid dream, is that the same? And apparently it's not. Apparently when you dream, you go into the astral plane, which is not the same as the imaginal realm.
Okay.
So here's what stuck with me. When I read this, and I know we've talked about this before, but I do firmly believe that there is a spiritual realm that, and I equate it to, if you're familiar with the Marvel universe, and I'm going to use that as an example, but you know, they started down this multi-dimensional, right? There's multi-dimensions. And I don't necessarily subscribe to the fact that there's, you know, literally thousands or millions of dimensions. I do think that there is a alternate dimension that we physically cannot see. And in that dimension is where the spirits reside. And they do take on forms that we can see, because otherwise we can't comprehend their true nature. Like our minds are not, let me rephrase that. I think our minds are equipped to handle the true nature, but I don't think we would know what to do with it if we did see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that's how I feel about dreams sometimes too, but I know that's technically a separate thing. But yeah.
What do you mean? Like you can't comprehend the dream, or?
Like if our mind might be able to like see it, but maybe we can't always comprehend it or something like that. You said that. And I feel like it's very common for people to dream a bunch of crazy stuff, and it's like, well, I don't know what to do with that information or what happened, you know? Right. And that's kind of like the whole point of what I feel like I try to do a lot of time is trying to decipher that information, because I do believe that dreams are information in some way. So.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't believe that until recently.
You didn't believe that dreams were information until recently? Why?
Yeah.
Because of all the guests?
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Well, I got to tell you, I didn't think much of it either until, you know, Grace first brings it up, and then then all of a sudden all these guests are like, oh yeah, I live in this dream world. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe there's something here, you know?
Right.
But, and then like you're saying, you have a dream and you're like, I don't even know what that means. Like the one I shared with you the other day about a fish tank, like a swimming pool that goes to the house. It looks like a fish tank.
Yeah. I actually made note. Yeah, I meant to text you because I looked in my book of like the general symbols, and I meant to text you like what it said, but I still could do that because I made like a note of it in my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know, actually. So,
well, I mean, I could say it on the podcast, but that's up to you. Ahead.
I just shared that I had a dream with a swimming pool in the house, and it looks like a fish tank. So
yeah, might as well give us context.
Well, so like water specifically, water represents your emotional, creative, and spiritual lives, and a swimming pool specifically is contained. So you don't like to take risks when it comes to challenging your emotions. Is kind of the general meaning for that.
Huh.
And with it being a fish tank, I don't know, with it being a fish tank, that adds another element to it.
Well, I just said it looked like a fish tank. I mean, because, you know, it had glass walls. And so if you were swimming in the swimming pool, you would be like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd probably say there's some truth to that, though. Mm-hmm. Like when you put it in that context, I think there's some truth to that. Mm-hmm. Huh.
Yeah.
Now you're going to give me something to ponder about the rest of the night.
I know. I'm just like, you're like, let's, I could just tell you're like, you want to be done recording, and you're like, let me just ruminate on that for a little bit.
No, I'm just like, when we're done, I'll be thinking about like what.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree. I do think I sometimes, how do I say that? I don't think I'm afraid of the emotions. I'm afraid to express them. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm afraid to tell people how I really think sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that's partly like we live in this world of we got to be politically correct, and some people don't want to hear the truth.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be hard when people believe in a different truth or something. It's complicated. Yeah.
It is complicated. Here's an example. This happened to me today. And you ever, you go through a car wash, and the ones I'm talking about, like the conveyor belt style car washes, where you pull up there and you stop, and then you put your car in neutral, and the little thing takes you through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily like those things for many reasons, but the biggest reason why I don't like them is because there's always a fear. Because I feel like they pack you in so tight, right? And so you're like literally feet away from the car in front of you. And I always think to myself, wow, what am I going to do if that person in the front of me doesn't go? They just stop.
Mm.
That happened today.
Mm.
The lady just stopped and just sat there. And I'm like slamming on the brakes. Fortunately, there was no one behind me, but I'm blowing my horn at her. And she just sat there for like a couple of minutes, just sat there. And then
was she off the conveyor belt thing already? And she was just kind of like, okay, she was just sitting at the entrance.
So like you couldn't get out. Like like my car, if I had not put on the brake, I would have rolled right into her,
Right.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, and so then because it's one of those where you pull up the vacuum cleaners, which is what I did. And I intentionally went like 3 down from her so I didn't have to confront her. Cause I'm afraid I would say something that, I might not be here tonight if I had sat parked next door.
Right.
And, but I was like, so what you just said, right? Like, what's your perception of reality? Like, why would you think that that's okay?
Look, man, if we try and ask that question about literally anything, we'll be here for centuries. So,
right.
Trying to explain the way other people's minds work and why they justify certain things, I don't know. Everyone has their reasons for everything. So, yeah, but it is weird to just, witness stuff like that. It's even something as simple as like when someone's in the far left lane on the highway and they're going like under the speed limit, and it's like, that's not what the left lane's for. What are you doing?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
So I think like if you think about this, and I'm gonna tie it back, right? So if you think about this, your energy being tied into this imaginal realm to see through the eye of the heart, like couldn't these be situations where people would sense that energy? Like for instance, in the car wash, right? Like clearly there's negative energy coming out of me because I'm fearful that I'm going to, smack this lady in the rear, and then who's at fault? And not, what's running through my mind is, who would get stuck with the insurance bill here. Right. But
yeah,
I mean, honestly, that's what I was thinking. But I mean, it's also like, it's not the right thing to do. And so, if we were all plugged into the collective consciousness, like, do you think you could feel that sense of energy? Like this negative energy is coming from someone like, hey, I'm distorting the natural order of things, or, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Like you could perceive like the world around you differently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if I can sense other people's energies or if I'm just internalizing everything,
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be a mix of both, but yeah.
So have you ever met someone and you just like, like you meet people and you say, hey, how's it going? And we all have the canned answer of, oh, I'm doing great. When in reality, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you met someone where you feel that energy is the energy giving off that person? You could just clearly tell that there's something wrong with them.
Sometimes, but honestly, I feel like I'm the one that's, faking it. and so I'm more focused on like, oh, what do I even say to this? Do I want to be like, this has happened like recently for me where I'm like, do I want to be fully honest right now, or do I just let it go so we don't go into like a super deep conversation in the middle of this party? You know what I mean? Like, So,
Yeah.
But honestly, in the grand scheme of things, like I think we're just all faking it. Fake it.
so
till you
true.
make it.
And that's why I kind of hate the question of like, how are you doing? And I'm like, how do you think I'm doing? Like, what do you mean? Why are you asking me that? Like,
Right? I would tell you.
you want me to really go into it? Because I can, but you're probably not gonna like it. Because as soon as I do, you're gonna be like, why are you making a scene? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you want from me, man?
What do you want from me?
Yeah. So that's why I just say, I'm great. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So think about this for a minute. If you were in a position or you felt comfortable enough to like, okay, so let's go back to this. If I'm seeing through the eye of the heart and I'm in tune to this emotional, spiritual world where I'm my true self, and if we were all like that, like, wouldn't you think that that conversation could go differently? Like, you would be comfortable saying, "Hey, I'm not doing great today,"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, possibly.
and then do you think that would like make the world a better place?
I mean, I feel like that's a hard question to answer if you're not in that realm. Like
Right.
I want to
Because it
answer,
is.
like I want to answer it correctly, but then I'm thinking, like now, like do I, like would I really want to know how you're feeling, or would I really want to tell people? Like I feel like that's a hard, like, hard to experience or answer without actually experiencing it.
Right. With it being such a hypothetical or theoretical question, can be hard to
Yeah.
really. Yeah. But I get what you're getting at, Ron. If we were all able to do that, but I've I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, there's certain people that I just think are never gonna be able to like unlearn certain things or be really like face themselves and just like reflect in general about life
Right.
or whatnot. So it's hard to say like, oh, if everyone was like that, because I'm like, is that even actually possible at this day in this day and age? I'd like to think that with everything going on right now, we'd be able to move forward, move past all this, and actually like heal in a way. I feel like that's something that we as a society need to do is heal a lot. At this point, a lot of people don't want to. They're perfectly okay with living the way that they do and doing that forever.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I like to hold out hope, for the future.
You never know.
So, okay, have you ever met somebody like you asked that question? Like, we all say that, right? We've all are guilty of meeting strangers or people, and we ask like, how are you doing? Praying that they don't actually tell us how they're doing. But have you ever met somebody who has actually been honest? Like you meet somebody, you're like, hey, how you doing today? And they're like, well, crappy. That's not how I'm doing today.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, like I said, working at the post office, everyone there is like openly miserable and they will not, that's all they'll talk about, They're like, oh man, I hate it here and get me out of here. But they're like, Yeah.
Right.
That's probably because you live in the frozen tundra of Cleveland, Ohio. But
well,
just kidding.
yeah. That could be part of it for sure, but yeah. There's a lot of factors to it. But yeah.
Yeah.
This is terrible, but when I worked in healthcare, like I always cringe. Like you'd be like, "How are you?" And then like, "Oh, well, my leg's falling off, and I have a 500-degree fever," and I'm like, "Oh gosh, why did I just ask that?"
Yeah.
If you're not answering the question honestly, are you being your authentic self?
No, you're not.
No.
And do you find freedom? Like when you can actually tell someone how you're feeling or what you're thinking, do you find freedom in that?
Yeah. Well, depends on the person, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on the person.
Well, okay, so let me ask it a different way. I mean, regardless of how the person on the other end is going to receive what you just said, is there freedom in saying, somebody asks you, "How are you doing today?" and you just say, "Today I'm not doing so great. I'm having a really crappy day."
Yeah, no, I definitely can definitely feel more of that, because there's just some days where you feel like you're just kind of keeping stuff in, and you really just need to like talk it out with either a friend or partner, or even, I don't know, therapist, parent, if they're willing. It's to be able to just let it out and talk to someone is definitely helpful, because then you're
So,
not
like,
like keeping it in so much. And yeah.
yeah. So, do you feel like you're more complete, whole and complete when you can be your authentic self with someone? And again, let's make the assumption that the person on the other end is not going to judge you or
Mm-hmm.
ridicule you. You know what I mean? Like, but even then, if they did, you're you're being your true self, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then should it matter? Because I mean, to me, like I'm thinking, if you're living in the eye, if you're trying to see the world through the eye of the heart, like if you go to your true inner feelings about things, like I don't know, I don't know that inherently we're all like evil. You know what I mean? Like, or that we think bad things, or that we think really a lot differently than each other. I think that depending on where you grow up, so like you say, oh, hey, this person sees things differently than me. How much is that driven by the fact that they want to look good in front of their friends, or they want to, but they don't necessarily believe it, if that makes sense.
Right.
Or maybe they only partially believe it.
Right. Like for some people, it could even be that they've just kind of repeated that um, mentality or whatever they say to others or to themselves so much that they do start to believe it more, and that's kind of all they believe.
Or maybe they don't know any other way to be.
Right. Yeah.
So then I think, like, okay, so if we're being true to ourselves, and you're just being open and honest, your authentic self, then that paints a different picture to people. Because I think the more you're all open and honest, and well, let me rephrase that. The more you're authentic to yourself, then you're going to come across as authentic to other people. And then they're going to feel more comfortable with you.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, I think it's important to like take care of yourself before you like kind of go see people, just to, I don't know, make sure your mind, body, heart, soul is as good as it can be. But obviously, it's good to communicate and express whatever you need to express. But you also don't want to. I mean, I feel like this could also just be my own limiting beliefs of like, you also don't want to just like dump whatever is going on onto someone else. But if it is truly like something that can help and they're willing to be there for you, then yeah,
Yeah, but how do you know if you don't?
you can ask. You can be like, well, I'm honestly not feeling well. Can I talk to you more about it? And if they're like, I'm not, I mean, I don't think I'm in a headspace to really like receive that, or be there for you in that way. Or maybe we can figure out you know, something.
Just think, sorry, I just had this funny like conversation in my head where you were saying that, like, oh, how are you today? Oh, I'm doing really crappy. And like, and then the person's like, oh, okay, great. Hey, I think
Right.
I gotta go get a new drink, like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, but even if you or the person standing there going, why the heck did I even ask this question?
Right.
That's what we're saying. Like,
Yeah, but I just feel like if you're being true and authentic to yourself, and you're living in this emotional consciousness, right, where I'm connected to this imaginal realm of the spirit through the eye of the heart, then I mean, you can't control how the other person's going to receive what you just said, but you never know. You may find somebody that actually cares, and then you connect with them. I mean, you're going to know instantly, right? When you say, somebody says, how you doing today? And you're like, yeah, it's a crappy day. They're either going to go, oh, okay, I got to go get a new drink, or they're going to ask you, well, what's so crappy about it?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all are looking at me like I got 4 heads, but
No. I think there's truth to both of our sides. Like, obviously, the conversation can go either
Right.
way, you know.
no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Like, you're going to meet these people that are going to be like, why did I ask this crazy person that question?
Mm-hmm.
But also, I mean, I'm thinking like, if you're being open and honest about your feelings with people, then you're going to gain a reputation of, you know, now, you know, let's say you meet Susie on the street, and Susie somewhat knows you, and they're like, hey, Grace, how you doing today? And you're like, well, it's a really crappy day. And, you know, all these things happen. And Susie's like, I'm not equipped to handle this, so I got to go wash my hair. But then, you know, now Susie's talking to Johnny, and Johnny's like, yeah, I had a really crappy day. And Susan's like, well, you know what? Maybe you ought to go talk to Grace. Grace is really open and honest about her feelings.
Mm-hmm. And it can even be the other way too, of like, you can be so authentically yourself in joy, and like, people can't always handle that, you know.
True.
So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I agree. All right. So what do we take from this, right? Because I mean, you know, this was really interesting, the eye of the heart, and getting to this emotional or spiritual imaginal realm. But I mean, what do we take from this? Like, what was your takeaway from reading this in the book?
I feel like it's a like, maybe it's like a stepping stone, or a start to, for people to really like focus on themselves in general. Of being like, if you're able to like read and understand that, and be able to check in with yourself and be like, okay, how am I actually doing right now, just in general. Like, people don't necessarily have to stress themselves out about like, what the hell is this imaginal realm and the eye of the heart thing, like, you know, obviously that can be important, but just a matter of like being able to check in with yourself at any given moment in the day, because you know how life happens and the day can get away from us, and we're not always like present to what's going on or what we're doing, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the day and you're like, what was I where was I, what was I doing, like, you know. So to just be able to be more present and check in, I think, is just a good start, you know.
And then that, and just stripping everything down and figuring out who you are without all the noise, I think, is important too.
Yeah.
Like, without the people thinking, people judging you, or what the news says that you need to believe, or what the book says that you need to believe, or
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting topic. What the book says you need to believe. What are you referring to?
any book.
Any book, or
Like,
this book specifically?
I mean,
Well, I mean,
this
we are a
book.
spiritual podcast.
I mean, this book, or I mean, figuring out what the Bible tells you to be, or what a self-help book tells you to be. Like, who are you? Are you really who God intended you to be? Maybe that's what I'm trying to get to.
That's a good question.
Okay, say that again.
Are you the person that God intended you to be?
It's a really good question.
It is a good question.
So here's the challenge then. Who do you think God is calling you to be?
That is a good question.
Yeah. I think about being a positive light for people and myself. Being able to express myself musically is important to me as well. Connecting with others in any way that I can. Yeah. But also really taking care of myself first and foremost, so that I can do those other things, you know? Because when I'm not taking care of myself, I can definitely, well, I guess I can't really speak for other people, but I worry about bringing other people down or being a burden to other people, you know. Um, and it's been a process to really learn all this and get to this point.
Right.
But when you asked that question, I did think about it for a second, and I was like, I feel like I'm honestly moving into a period of my life where I do feel that. I can definitely sense some of that. Like we always have like a shadow darkness to us that's part of being human. You know, we're flawed and everything, but to not let that consume me so much, and to be able to live in harmony with both aspects of myself, the good, bad, light and dark, you know, what have you.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of at that point, like, or at this point where I'm trying to figure out who I am beyond just being, I guess, like a mom. Like, who is Michelle and not like Michelle the person and not
Yeah.
Michelle the mom running around. And I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of people, like, not necessarily like in motherhood, but I feel like that's a spot where a lot of people, I think, are at. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who am I without this, or who am I without doing this?
Right. But I feel like especially moms, that's definitely a common thing. I feel like
Yeah.
I just hear about it so often that, you know, women will have children. And I mean, it could be uh, men too, where
Yeah.
they become a parent and then they realize like that seems like all their identity is just
Mm-hmm.
who they are as a parent. But it's like, you got to make sure you know who you are yourself without
Yeah.
that. Because it's like, obviously you're going to be a parent for the rest of your life, but you're eventually your kids aren't going to be around all the time, so who are you
Right.
without that? Yeah.
Without that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Ron?
Wow. So these are very like important things you guys just said. And like I've struggled recently trying to figure out, you know, I mean, let me say it a different way because I was going to head down a path that really wouldn't have made sense. But I mean, I think about like we're all three in different stages of life, like Grace, you're just starting your life. And, um, Michelle, you're in the middle, right? And I'm not saying I'm coming to the end of my life, but I'm coming to the end of the season of my life. My kids are about to be, my oldest is finding his way in the world and will eventually not be living here, right? And then my daughter's going to be a senior in high school and getting ready to go to college, and then it's just going to be us. And and I'm thinking, a lot of events that have been happening at work recently, like how much longer do I want to do this, and then what do I want to do with that when I'm like, what does post career life look like? I know that I'm not, I've always tried to make it a point that my identity is not my job.
Mm-hmm.
But, now that I'm getting close to that place where I could, retire or not go to a job anymore, like, what do I want to do with that? And I think you nailed it on the head. Like, I know that, when we started this, that was really the idea behind it, was just to be a positive energy for other people,
Mm.
And so what does that look like? And I don't know, like I've pondered this a lot. What does that look like? And, I know we've talked about some different things about where could we take this and where would we go with it and what could it become? And like, these are the things that rattle in my head right now. Cause I'm like, I so would like, if this could be my full-time job, I would totally do it,
Yeah.
And, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I probably need to ponder that a little bit more. Like, I mean, it is something like, when you're a parent, there is a period of life where your identity is your children.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because your kids will, like, people will know you as insert your child's name's parent.
Right.
Oh, that's Callista's dad, or that's Dimitri's dad, or that's Callista's mom. They don't really know you as who you are, right? Because your identity, your whole world revolves around your kids' functions and your kids' activities. And I mean, and then, you know, as most parents, they want to be that involved in their kids' lives, you know, and so, and it's important. I think it's very important to, you know, take interest in what your children are doing. But it is interesting because, you know, now I'm getting to the end of that season. I'm getting to the end of that season where my identity is not going to be I'm so and so's dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what do I do with that? Like, I don't
You're
know.
your own person.
It's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I am. I mean, I'm just saying, but you know, it's just, it's this period of my life where I'm like, okay, I know that I don't want to keep doing what I am doing,
Right.
at least not forever. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be 75 years old and still working.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know myself, right? I'm not one of these people that can sit and do nothing. Like, I got to have some sort of activity, something that I have to do, because that's just who I am. I'm not, I can't sit idle for more than a couple hours. And then it's like, I'm mind-numbingly bored. And then I start annoying everybody around me because I got to go do something, you know? And so, like, what does that look like? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds like you need some new hobbies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have this.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Like I said, if I could do
Right.
this, like this would be, you know what I mean? There's so many places we could take this thing, right? And I know
Absolutely.
we're kind of in this phase where we're thinking, where are we going with this? And we've had some discussions, you know, and I think we're still trying to explore that, right? And that's where I go, like, what do we want to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is more than just an hour long episode every week. And what really is, where do we want Naked Faith to be?
Mm-hmm.
And what do we want that to be? Like, it's a bigger movement, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how do we get there? Like, that's the other part. Like, what is it
how
that
do
we
we-
want to do? And then how do we get there? Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
you.
I mean, I think obviously there's things we can always try, those little small steps like you were talking about with the Kazan. You know, setting goals and things and having ideas of doing things. But you said earlier about like being a positive energy. Obviously we want to do that, and I don't remember how you phrased it, but it just made me think of like it gets to a point where it doesn't need to be something that you think about. It's just we can just exist, you know? We can just be present with each other and not be thinking about like, okay, what is this, what are we going to do with this? Where is it going to go? Like, we can just exist and let it be how it is, and obviously do all the things to promote it in any way that we can. But I think it's important to again be present and just let it be as is and see where it takes us, you know? Because there's obviously only so much we can do, and then we'll see where it goes.
So essentially,
Yeah, I
what
get
we're
that.
saying is, if you're watching or if you're listening, make sure you share this with your friends and your families if you find this interesting. If you want to join our conversations, share it.
Yeah. If you want to share your story, you can always reach out to us on all our social medias and our email. If you have a story you want to share of your own faith journey or spiritual journey, wherever you're at, because obviously we're all in different, you know, areas and phases of our lives. So there's always something to share, you know? Yeah.
So get in contact with us. We want to hear your story.
I guess they're telling me it's time to shut up.
Well, it was a good like segment into that.
No, I know. I just,
Yeah, it really
it's
was.
definitely a good ending question to think about. Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Yeah.
So think about
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And
I was thinking this morning, I've been thinking about it a little bit, but definitely this morning specifically of like every day, you know, people say like every day is a new day, and I feel like for a while it was hard for me to really grasp that because I'm like, well, yeah, I'm still in the same place that I live, you know. It's not like everything's completely different, but I do feel like every day we can reframe it and like we are kind of reborn every single day, and try to leave each day. I've been trying to leave each day as is, so I don't bring, crap from yesterday into today and that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. It's a process.
All right. It's a process. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how much we concluded our Mary Magdalene discussion here, but this was definitely very interesting. So
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's obviously more we could talk about because we're definitely not done with this book yet. But
no, for sure.
I'm sure we'll weave in episodes of like talking about Mary Magdalene, having guests and whatnot, everything in between,
Mm-hmm.
So
For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well,
All right.
till next week.
Yeah.
Till next week. We'll see ya.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.